Hello and welcome to our Nigerian viewers and viewers across the world. This is Galaxy TV News. Let's get things started. Senator Godswill Akpabio says oil companies owe NDDC $4 billion. Plus on the news, President Muhammadu Buhari warns security chiefs and insists he is prepared to make fresh changes if necessary. Outside Nigeria, U.S. President Joe Biden says U.S. troops may stay in Afghanistan beyond withdrawal deadline as armed Taliban fighters prevent desperate evacuees from reaching Kabul's airport. We have details in just a moment. And now, wherever you're watching from around the world, we are live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I am Kelly Egiga. On our first story, President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday warned security chiefs that he is not prepared to exit office as a failure and is prepared to make fresh changes if necessary to turn things around in the various theaters of operation in the ongoing war against insecurity. He made the declaration at the Presidential Villa Abuja during the National Council on Security meeting, which he presided over. The meeting with heads of security agencies was to receive updates on security operations across the country. Briefing State House correspondent at the end of the meeting, the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Muguno, retired, said the president also expressed his readiness to make more changes in the security architecture of the country if necessary.
The meeting briefed Mr. President on the current security situation in the country, well, I'll say from the last time we met till now, and all the issues that were brought before the President were mainly issues arising from the successes recorded in the theater of operations throughout the Northeast.
Well, we have been encouraged to do more from what we've been doing, and we also assure Mr. President that we will put more efforts, more sacrifice to ensure that crime and criminality is brought to the barest minimum.
The service chiefs and other heads of security agencies attended the meeting with the president. Away from security matters, the Kaduna State Commissioner of Health, Mohammed Baloni, says cholera has killed at least 135 persons from April till date in the state. Baloni revealed this in a press conference at the Kaduna State Ministry of Health, saying the state has recorded 1,635 cases of cholera since April. She, however, said the state has successfully treated and discharged over 800 cases, with most of the cases coming from local government within Kaduna town. The Commissioner of Health used the opportunity to appeal to residents to take personal hygiene seriously, as over 19 local government areas have been affected by cholera, which is an avoidable disease. Dr. Baloni also said with the new Delta variant of the COVID-19 pandemic, residents must abide by the NCDC protocols to avoid contacting the virus.
1,665 cases across 19 local governments from April till date. Some of the local governments do not have any active cases right now. So far, we have treated 842 and discharged. We only have 14 active cases as of today. So in terms of COVID, from last year to date, we have treated, we have confirmed 9,201, and 9,121 of them have been treated and discharged.
Away from health matters, the Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, says over $4 billion is reportedly being owed the Niger Delta Development Commission by international oil companies operating in the Niger Delta region. Senator Akpabio made the disclosure during the 19th session of the Presidential Communication Team's media briefing held at the State House, Abuja, Thursday. We have details in this report.
Senator Akpabio told State House correspondents that investigations of the misuse of funds meant for development of the oil-rich region has been concluded, and his ministry is set to presenting the report to the President. According to him, key findings already show that there has been so much rot in the system, including huge debt by international oil companies.
And since this president is very interested in leaving legacies behind, you look at almost every project that is doing today were projects that were started either 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and all that. But he came back and looked at what would be, which of those things would be for the benefit of Nigerians, either in the electricity sector, like the Mambila, or you look at it from the bridge sector, like the second Niger bridge.
International oil companies, they are expected to pay 3% of their budget annually to NDDC. That is their major income. But they have been defaulting for quite a long time, and efforts have been made to aggregate what they are owing and find a solution on how to get the money to NDDC. That is the composition of the $4 billion.
For the ministry, major changes are now being made in the NDDC to correct the wrongs of the past. These changes are coming in the wake of a new law to address the governance issues in the oil and gas industry, just as there are concerns about a possible agitation over the 3% allocation given to host communities in the Petroleum Industry Act. The minister said the funds will not be shared as was done in the past.
It's the one that goes from Oran to Calabar, 13 kilometers on water, and the abutment is 5 kilometers on this side, 5 kilometers on the other side.
While these issues are still being sorted out, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs is saddled with completing major projects in the region. At the moment, over 10 billion naira has been committed to the 338 kilometers east-west road. The road is expected to speed up economic activities in the region, but there are setbacks that might delay the 2022 projected completion date.
So the east-west road is one of them. So we've committed over 10 billion of monies we could have used to complete other projects towards it. And to the glory of God, about 7.4 billion has already been paid, and then we have disbursed to contractors, and they're all on site. Then additional funding of about 35 billion is expected from the Ministry of Finance. And of course, we also brought up an ingenious way that some of those new constructions, like the flyovers and the bridges, could be handled by the NDDC.
There are, however, other projects that the ministry claims to have completed, including intra- and interstate roads, social infrastructure, economic empowerment, environmental revamping, and skill acquisitions. It says the region is experiencing peace, security, and improved socio-economic activities resulting from the numerous intervention by the government.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has lamented a loss of $50 billion worth of investment in the petroleum industry since 2011 due to the absence of the Petroleum Industry Act. Buhari made this assertion in Abuja Wednesday at the ceremony on the passage of the PIA, which preceded the Federal Executive Council meeting. Special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, disclosed this in a statement. According to the President, the loss was due to the uncertainty of non-passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill, lack of progress and stagnation in the petroleum industry, which he blamed on the lack of political will on the past administrations to actualize the needed transformation. Let's get some analysis and perspective now as we're joined by Dr. Kunle Akiode, chartered accountant and management consultant. He joins us from the Bagada area here in Lagos. Doctor, good to see you. Given the facts on ground that the may soon become a thing of the past due to technology, is it justifiable for the federal government to devote 30% for oil exploration in the north and 3% to cushion the effect of degradation in the oil-producing areas?
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you for having me here to talk about this. Well, we all know that the world is talking about sustainability now. And we are, as much as possible, going through what we call decarbonization. That is to reduce the number of carbon emission that we have. Now, we're even talking about the greenhouse effect. So if there is any alternative to the use of petrol or anything that emits hydrocarbon, that is where the world is going to. So I don't think we should, as a country at this time, be deploying so much money into further exploration of oil. Rather, we should look for how we could really key into this other source of alternative power. But you see, we cannot shy away from the fact that our economy has been mono economy over a long period of time. Oil appears to be our strongest source of income, and we will not let it go easily. So I guess that is why the president is doing that. But for me, I think we too should start looking at other alternative sources of power. But to the 3% compared to 30% for the exploration and 3% to the place, the community where this is being done. We've been hearing our Niger Delta brothers really complaining, really agonizing over the degradation and the level of their environment, the level of underdevelopment there. So I feel personally that more should be approved to them, not just 3%. You knew it was 10% initially. The next assembly brought it down to 5%. Now they are getting 3% at the end of the day. And for some of them, the major stakeholders there, they could begin to look at it as though this nation is not interested in their environment and what is happening to their land, their water, and their...
Yes, Doctor, I'm just also going to ask, Doctor, if 30% is spent yearly and the devastation in the Niger Delta region persists, where do you think the federal government will get the money if no further oil money is discovered in the country?
Definitely. If you want to continue to eat egg, obviously you should keep the chicken laying the egg healthy. You kill the chicken, no more egg for you. The more we have devastation in the Niger Delta, in the oil-rich region in our country, the more we're going to have problems. Look at how much we lost to oil pipe vandalization, and where the oil servicing company cannot settle down properly in that location to carry out their oil exploring activity. Where are we going to get the money? So I think the government should start thinking again as to how much is being deployed to them. We need to take care of that environment if truly that is where we are generating so much from oil. We should review the 30%, and maybe part of it should really go to the proper care of that region, rather than spending it on exploration and just giving just 3%.
Yes, we need to let you go, but maybe just one final question. I wonder what you think the federal government should be doing to put in place or put an end to oil vandalization and violence in the years to come.
Well, I had faced that situation before. I even made illustration. I used that example in a presentation I had today. If they don't want it to continue, it's high time you start calling all the stakeholders to the table. Let's discuss. It's high time to identify the major stakeholders in this oil-rich region. Analyze them into their levels, the ones that have both power and interest there, the one whose power are low but they are highly interested in there. We need to bring them into different 4 quadrants and know how to deal with each of this class of stakeholders. If we neglect them, we will keep having problem. Let's engage them, not just manage our stakeholders there. Let's bring them into engagement and engage them respectfully.
Dr. Kunle Akiode, I'd like to thank you most kindly for speaking with us, chartered accountant and management consultant from the Gbagada area here in Lagos.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you're watching the news on Galaxy TV. Let's take a moment and be back with more reports. Join us again. You're welcome back. Now for more updates and latest news, visit our website at www.galaxytvonline.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Official Galaxy TV. If you have breaking news around you, you can avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp. Simply share a story by sending short clips or videos of the news at 0818 666 669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live update and comment. Now, Broadcasters International held the first edition of its annual National Lecture Series on Thursday. The purpose of the lecture was to make the broadcasting profession count in Nigeria and to launch a magazine that aimed for that purpose. During the welcome address, the chairman of the Broadcasters International magazine, Dr. Yemi Farumbi, stressed on the importance of a professional body that would admit and regulate broadcasters to ensure standard and sanction them whenever code of conduct gets breached.
They are promoting themselves rather than providing education or information or even entertainment for the audience. And that is because, they have a good boss, they have a good pay, they have access to cameras, so they think they are a broadcaster. They have not been trained. They have not been professionalized. They have not been inducted into the profession. And we need all of this for us to be at the level we should be, given the enormous power of broadcasting.
Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, represented by the Special Advisor to the President on Political Matters, Senator Babafemi Ojudu, delivered a speech on the topic of the day, democracy, nation building and broadcast media. He mentioned the important role the media plays in nation building and holding government accountable, and why there is need for the broadcast media to be factual and stay away from fake news.
The role the media plays in politics and governance is indispensable. It creates modes and reflects the heartbeat of society. Most important for me today is not to discuss about the past glory of the media and its impact on our democracy. Rather, I want to talk to you about the changing trends in broadcasting and how it can herald the future of Nigerian democracy and governance.
Very important that there should be a body of rules that will guide people. So you can't do this, you cannot practice in this manner, these are the limits of your freedom or whatever it is, But that must come from those who are practitioners themselves, not from government.
The event wrapped up by launching of a special edition of the Broadcast International magazine, which was reviewed to a reflection of what journalism should stand for in the country. And now to other stories. In order to tackle the rising wave of drug abuse in the country, stakeholders have urged parents, teachers, and all relevant parties to be more involved in their children's lives so as to know if there is any change in their lifestyle as it could be caused by drug use. This was done during this year's annual constituency stakeholders meeting with the theme, Increasing Wave of Drug Abuse, a Threat to Nation Building. According to a drug use survey in Nigeria by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in 2018, Lagos and Oyo states had the highest prevalence of drug abuse amongst youth in the southwest region. It is on this premise that the devastating effects of the drug abuse on the safety and progress of the society were identified.
It's not so much about building infrastructure. If you build the infrastructure, you need the people who would use the infrastructure. And then if you don't have the people who use the infrastructure, then infrastructure becomes useless. When there's a high wave of drug abuse, what happens is that it renders people unemployed. And when you are rendered unemployed, what happens is that they say the idle mind is the house of the devil's workshop. And then as thus, they start to carry out a lot of activities that are not necessarily healthy to the society and the country at large. So yes, unemployment will definitely affect security issues within the states.
Parenting is very, very key. One thing that we've watched and we've talked about, very loud here today is that parenting needs to be up. When parenting is high and people knows their roles and responsibility of why they are having these jewels, are you getting it? And more so, we should always create time to talk to our children on the dangers that involves in drugs abuse. So when all this is coupled with parental, with educational materials and everything, with advocacy from government, I think the people will get the best, that it is not good.
Meanwhile, government at all levels were urged to do more in sensitizing the public on the dangers of drug abuse. It was also affirmed that banditry and other criminal activities have their root in the use of hard substances, and until the menace is faced squarely, the problem of insecurity will continue in the country.
So government should come up with policies that will, that will enforce, enforcement of all these things out of the society to ensure that these things, the use of drug becomes a thing of the past in the society. So therefore, all of us, it's a collective thing. All of us must be involved. We should all look at the negativity to our, to us as a people and to our children. So we should all be involved. That's my plea.
And now to other stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved recommendations of a committee to review with dispatch 368 grazing sites across 25 states in the country to determine the levels of encroachment. The president's directive followed his approval of the recommendations of a committee chaired by the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. Among others, the committee has recommended the collection of field data collection on 368 grazing reserves across 25 states to assess encroachment and encroachers, stakeholder engagement and sensitization. The committee also recommended production of maps and geo-mapping and tagging of site, analysis of findings and reports preparations, as well as design appropriate communication on grazing reserves and operations in Nigeria. And now to crime stories. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Thursday arrested a former governor of Abia State, Theodore Orji. The ex-governor, who had for long been on the commission's watch list, was intercepted at the Nnamdi International Airport, Abuja, at about 10 a.m. and driven to the headquarters of the EFCC in Abuja. He was quizzed alongside his son, Chinedu, the current Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly, who turned himself in this afternoon upon learning of the arrest of his father. Orji, a current senator, and his sons, Chinedu and Ogbonna, have for months been under EFCC investigations for alleged misappropriation of public funds and money laundering. The ex-governor is alleged to have received 500 million naira monthly as security votes for 8 years as governor of Abia State between 2007 and 2015. Meanwhile, former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has called on the federal government to ensure that funds borrowed are invested in things that would enhance the nation's development. Obi made the call on Thursday while speaking with newsmen shortly after a courtesy visit to the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, at the governor's office, Ibadan. Correspondent Kunlojo reports that Obi maintained that debt isn't bad when it is rightly applied. He asserted that Nigeria's economy would have been doing better if funds borrowed had been invested. On the forthcoming Anambra governorship elections, the former governor called for conduct of free, fair and credible elections.
If you borrow for investment, that is not bad. But if you borrow for consumption, that is bad. And Nigeria is borrowing for consumption. Everybody, I've said it everywhere, they've claimed the debts being borrowed are being invested. But I'm saying, where is the investment? And you could see clearly. Because if you have invested it, the economy would have been doing better. But the economy is worse, which means the money you borrowed, you threw it away. And it's very simple. The way forward is to borrow and invest.
Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo has advised those giving attention to the 2023 elections to work towards the nation's unity now and beyond 2023. The former president expressed concerns that the nation was not where it was supposed to be. Obasanjo made this known when he played host to the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Uche Secondus, at his hilltop residence in Abeokuta, the state capital. He maintained that though the situation of Nigeria is very bad, it is not irredeemable. Obasanjo reaffirmed that Secondus had not visited him because of partisan politics, but because he was concerned about the state of the nation.
The time we have, we do not have the luxury of time. Some people are talking about 2023. 2023 is important, but 2023 is not as important as being able to package Nigeria as a wholesome peace. Wholesome peace.
Let's take you to Ondo State, where the state government has directed the caretaker committee set up by the national headquarters of the National Union of Road Transport Workers to immediately take over all accredited motor parks in the state. This was made known by the senior special advisor to the governor on special duties, Dr. Doyin Odebowale, at a press conference held at the governor's office, Akure. Odebowale said government only recognizes the caretaker committee, and anyone who parades himself as such will find himself to blame. The SSA, however, said those collecting revenues on behalf of government are still intact, and the committee will also sell government tickets at the parks.
Asking the members of the caretaker committee sent to us by the national body to take charge immediately. We are doing this not oblivious of the fact that there will be resistance. We are not members of NURTW. We don't want to know how they operate. But the state insists on being governed by the laws of the state.
In Ogun State, the state government has reiterated its commitment towards achieving universal health coverage by year 2025, following the establishment of the Ogun State Health Insurance Scheme. Commissioner for Health in that state, Dr. Tomi Kuka, made this known at the pre-launch press briefing of Ogun State Informal Sector Health Insurance Schemes held in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. She noted that the cost of healthcare delivery is consistently increasing universally due to the continuous advancement in healthcare services, research, newer drugs, newer investigations, amongst others.
government of Ogun State is aligning with global and national agenda of pursuing the global goal of universal health coverage by the year 2025, thus establishing the Ogun State Health Insurance Scheme. This will ensure that all people, regardless of background and socio-economic status, have access to quality healthcare services and do not suffer financial hardship for it.
The Commissioner of Health added that target groups under the informal sector health insurance schemes include road transport unions, NURTW, RETRAN, motorcycle transport unions, markets and trade unions, amongst others. She said the informal sector health insurance scheme is also geared towards taking care of those who cannot pay for themselves, but their premium shall be covered by subsidies from government, donations and grants from donor agencies and philanthropists. And to other stories, the Nigerian government is very keen on exploring the capital market as a key source of generating funds to bridge the country's huge infrastructure deficit gap. This is the submissions of Zainab Ahmed, Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning at the National Workshop of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers held in Abuja. Galaxy's Godfrey Shomogil is there and has details.
The Nigerian capital market ranks among the most vibrant globally, one which the government acknowledges as being a key driver of the economy. And the finance minister at the National Workshop said, in recent years, the market has been a ready source of funds for about 44 road projects.
You recall that between 2018 to 2020, the federal government of Nigeria, through the Debt Management Office, had raised up to about 669 billion naira from the capital market through 3 different issuance of sukuk bonds. This financing was used to construct and rehabilitate over 44 roads across the 6 geopolitical zones of our country.
In line with the theme of the event, which is on leveraging the financial market to achieve double-digit economic growth in Nigeria, President of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers and the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission both highlighted the urgent need to achieve the milestone.
We obviously need to push for an annual average GDP growth rate of 10% or more over the next 10 to 20 years to achieve the potential inherent in our economy and to improve the standard of living of our people. That was the secret of China's transformation from a developing country of Nigeria's status to a developed one that is rivaling the US in every facet of economic activity globally today.
It should truly not be difficult to achieve double-digit growth in Nigeria. Most of the key factors of production are here. A large, vibrant, youthful population, arable land, abundant rainfall, good drainage, and a large and growing pool of savings. Infrastructure is the area where we have a major problem. And here I mean roads and rail transportation, power generation and distribution, health infrastructure, and the like.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said his state has benefited greatly from infrastructure funds generated from the capital market. The governor was represented at the workshop.
2019 into 2020, we delivered the highest subnational bond by any state government in this country, a 100 billion bond, which was directly targeted towards infrastructure. It wasn't a bond that was used in paying salaries, etc. And this year again, I'm happy the DG DMO is here, I'm happy SEC is here. We are going all out again to deliver a 125 billion naira bond. We are out there to beat even our own performance in the outer years.
The Nigerian economy last experienced double-digit growth in 2002 with an indicator of 15.33%. But the current state of the country's economy is showing very little promise. Godfrey Eshemoge, Galaxy News, Abuja.
And now to other stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has confirmed and ratified International Curfew Agreement 2007 following Federal Executive Council FEC approval of Nigeria's membership of the International Curfew Organization, ICO. The Council had drawn a conclusion of the agreement on October 21, 2020, with emphasis on Conclusion 10, which approved the preparations of the instrument of ratification of Nigeria's membership of the International Curfew Organization and International Curfew Agreement of 2007. In a statement issued on Thursday, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said the 2007 agreement will strengthen the ICL's role as a forum for intergovernmental consultations, facilitate international trade through increased transparency and access to relevant information, and promote a sustainable curfew economy for the benefit of all stakeholders and particularly of small-scale farmers in coffee-producing countries. Security stories now. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has called on participants of the Strategic Leadership and Command's Course 3 2021 to be change agents in the Nigeria Police. Usman Alkali Baba made the call at the graduation ceremony of the course participants in Abuja on Thursday. The IGP said the Strategic Command course is to keep in tune with global policing dynamics towards raising the standards of policing and endanger with improved service delivery by the Nigeria Police and other law enforcement agencies.
The National Institute of Police Studies has therefore come to stay. It has started bridging the gap created by inadequate slots in erstwhile strategic institutions by being the mainstay of strategic studies for senior superior police officers. We are happy for today's milestone and the handshake across the sub-region. We wish you all, the participants, good grace from this accomplishment and safe journey for all as you return to your bases, especially to Sierra Leone.
In his remarks, Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Mr. Leo Smith, who was also represented by the Director of Discipline, Tijani Mohammed, said the passing out of the participants was timely in view of the present challenges facing the country.
I also congratulate the graduates on the successful completion of your training and hope that you will deploy the knowledge acquired thus far in the discharge of your duties to ensure that the security challenges plaguing our nation and elsewhere in the world is successfully tackled. In recent times, the role of the police as the lead internal security agency in the protection of lives and properties of citizens has come under serious security scrutiny due to the passive back role of the NPF in the fight against hitherto unknown crimes and criminality.
Also in his remarks, the Inspector General of Police, Sierra Leone, Ambrose Michael, commended the leadership of the Nigeria Police Force for collaborating with his country, especially in the area of training and capacity building.
The relationship between Sierra Leone and Nigeria on the socio-economic, technical, and security front continued to flourish. In 1996, when we needed a capacity, some of our young officers, we approached this great nation and we were given a slot to send in 6 officers to be trained as cadets in Jos. One among those 6 trained rose to the rank of the Deputy Inspector General, now retired, Mr. FBK Dabo. One is currently the Police Commissioner of the African Union Mission in Somalia, Amisom. One other is the current Director of Operation. I am told that some of their course mates in 1996 are among those graduating today from these prestigious institutes.
Over the last 8 weeks, we have all worked very hard using different methods of delivery to ensure that our objectives were achieved. I see the graduates as the lighthouse. Your job is to provide the necessary policing services to everyone with different beliefs, age, traditions, gender, profession, physical abilities, etc.
You're watching the news on Galaxy TV. Let's take a short break and be back with more stories. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. In Benue State, the police command has charged parents to take full responsibility of their children to desist from all forms of criminal behavior, particularly cult-related activities, which has become inimical to peaceful living. The police says it has become imperative for parents to closely monitor their children and guide them following the scale of cultism among young children and the dangers with it. The public relations officer in the state, Catherine Anene, who spoke to Galaxy TV News at the command headquarters, said 15 suspects were arrested in cult-related offences in the last week, assuring they will be prosecuted in line with the law.
One of the settlements that Benue State Police Command is working on. In the last 1 week, we have 15 suspects arrested. 10 have been charged to court. 5 are still undergoing interrogation. But I want to say that the issue of cultism in North Bank is not an issue that the police can handle alone. Parents have to wake up to their responsibility.
And as part of efforts to curb oil theft in Rivers State, the State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has arrested 10 suspected oil thieves in various parts of the state. The State Commandant of the NSCDC, Aliyu Bature, will disclose these in Port Harcourt while parading some of the suspects. He referred that 4 trucks containing illegally refined petroleum products were among items seized from the suspect. He said officers of the command intercepted a truck containing petroleum products suspected to be automotive gas oil, popularly called diesel, amongst others.
We are parading 10 suspects of oil thieves and 4 trucks conveying suspected illegal refined products. The command arrested 5 suspects conveying suspected stolen AGO stuck in a sack in a trailer truck along Trans-Amadi area. Some of the arrested suspects confessed to the crime, while the rest are currently undergoing thorough investigation and will be charged to court in due course. Was arrested at Igu Island with 3 suspects. It contained an NGO suspected to be adulterated or legally refined products. Our message to the public is that we are not relented in dealing with all illegal bunkering.
And we go to carry, then call us to go and carry something. Then from there, as we reach there, they unload the thing. The time when they unload the thing, me are not there around. So they come tell us and make we go. As we come there, to come move from there, I come see security agents just around there, come arrest us. For the time when they arrest us, I don't know what's in the inside.
Because of my friend called me to come and direct motor tanker to Ikwele Road, where we know road. That from there they arrested me for near this Igu Island.
And now the Federal Road Safety Corps Kaduna State Sector Command says it prosecuted 1,008 traffic offenders in the month of July 2021. The Sector Commander Hafiz Muhammad told newsmen on Thursday in Kaduna that those prosecuted were arrested during a special intervention patrol. He explained that the special patrol was to stem traffic law infractions within the metropolis and on highways and the attendant fatalities and life-threatening injuries. According to him, the offenders have been prosecuted for committing 1,115 offences. He also said the special patrol was part of strategies put in place by the command to end road crashes within Kaduna State. Let's join our international desk for more stories.
Welcome to International News. U.S. President Joe Biden has said U.S. troops may stay in Afghanistan beyond its withdrawal deadline as armed Taliban fighters kept desperate evacuees from reaching Kabul's airport. Biden wants U.S. forces out by the end of this month, but up to 15,000 U.S. citizens are stranded in the country. The U.S. president told newsmen the turmoil in Kabul was unavoidable. Foreign governments are ramping up the airlift of Western citizens and Afghans who worked with them. Washington has pledged to evacuate all remaining American citizens, along with 50 to 65,000 Afghans, such as former translators for the U.S. military. In total, America has evacuated more than 5,200 people to date, including 2,000 in the last 24 hours. The Pentagon has told reporters it aims to expand the airlift to 9,000 people a day. About 4,500 U.S. troops are in temporary control of Karzai International Airport in the nation's capital, but Taliban fighters and checkpoints ring the perimeter. Since Sunday, 12 people have been killed in and around the airport, a Taliban official told newsmen. The deaths was caused by gunshots or stampedes. The Taliban are blocking Afghans from entering the airport without travel documents, but even those with valid authorization have struggled. One Afghan interpreter was reportedly shot in the leg by the Taliban as he tried to reach the airport on Tuesday night for an Australian military evacuation flight. Meanwhile, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab has rejected calls to quit after claims he should have personally intervened to help evacuate Afghan interpreters. Raab was advised to phone his Afghan counterpart for urgent support, but it's understood the job was given to a junior minister. Opposition parties say this was an error of judgment that puts interpreters' lives at risk. Asked in Downing Street if he would resign, Raab replied no. Defense Secretary Ben Wallace earlier defended the Foreign Secretary, saying no amount of phone calls to the Afghan government would have made a difference. On Twitter, Raab confirmed that 100 more UK specialist staff have been deployed to Afghanistan and were on the ground, supporting British nationals and our Afghan colleagues to safely leave the country. But opposition member of the parliament kept up the onslaught as Westminster's leader, Ian Blackford, said Raab had made a massive error of judgment. He tweeted, "His position is completely unattainable and he must resign or be sacked." Liberal Democrats leader Sir Ed Davey also said on Twitter Raab must go. Played same role Westminster leader Liz Saville Roberts said Mr. Raab should resign or be removed from post for his mishandling of duties over Afghanistan. Earlier this week, newspaper reports suggested that the Foreign Secretary was seen relaxing on a beach on the Greek island of Crete on Sunday, the day Taliban militants entered Kabul, Afghanistan's capital. Raab said that while he was away, he had been directing his team and engaging with international partners. As originally reported by newsmen, Raab was advised by senior foreign officials on Friday he should make contact with Afghan Foreign Minister Hanif Atmar to get urgent assistance in rescuing Afghan interpreters who had worked for the British military. Still on the international news, but now to health-related matters, Guinean authorities say 58 people have been confined to their homes after being identified as contacts of a woman who contracted the Ebola virus. The Ebola virus case was discovered in Ivory Coast in an 18-year-old Guinean woman who had traveled by bus from Labé, Guinea, a journey of some 1,500 kilometers, that's 930 miles. It was Ivory Coast's first known case of the disease since 1994. Ebola is often deadly, causing severe fever and, in the worst cases, unstoppable bleeding. It is transmitted through close contact with bodily fluids, and people who live with or care for patients are most at risk. The discovery in Ivory Coast came nearly 2 months after the United Nations Health Agency declared an end to Guinea's second Ebola outbreak, which started last year and killed 12 people. The good news is that none of them are presenting any signs of Ebola at the moment, are all being followed, he added. The driver of the vehicle that transported the young Ebola sufferer to Abidjan, Ivory Coast, is one of those identified. As the sole center of Labé able to handle such contact cases is currently full dealing with coronavirus patients, the Ebola contact cases were placed under confinement at home for an observation period of 21 days, the Guinean Health Authority said. An Ebola outbreak between 2013 and 2016 killed 11,300 people throughout West Africa, including 2,300 people in Guinea. And finally, from the international scene, China has marked the 70th anniversary of the founding of the Tibet Autonomous Region on the roof of the world with a call to accept the rule of the Communist Party. Beijing has ruled the remote western region since 1951 after its People Liberation Army marched in and took control in what is called a peaceful liberation. Tibet can only develop and prosper under the party's leadership and socialism, Wang Yang, who's head of national organization responsible for uniting all races and all parties under the leadership of the Communist Party, said at the event on Thursday in the region's capital, Lhasa. The celebration, attended by almost 10,000 people, was held at the foot of the iconic Potala Palace, a sacred Buddhist site associated with the Dalai Lamas. A nationwide live telecast on the celebration prominently featured a 4-story high portrait of Chinese President Xi Jinping towering over the audience. Propagandists in the 1950s and 1960s used to extensively display Mao Zedong's portraits at rallies and celebrations to whip up a personal cult around him and cultivate loyalty. Most leaders after Mao forbade the practice, although under Xi's rule, his solo portraits as well as those with him and 4 previous leaders have been placed extensively in Tibet. The party's atheist Han leaders in Beijing have also made extra efforts to cultivate loyalty among Tibetans, many of whom are devout Buddhists and traditionally view of the Dalai Lamas as spiritual leaders. Beijing brands the current Dalai Lama exiled in neighboring India as a dangerous separatist and instead recognizes the current Pachin Lama put in place by the party as the highest religious figure in Tibet. As a mark of the party's rule over Tibetan Buddhism, Wang presented the Panchen Lama with a commemorative plaque at the ceremony. And that's it from the international scene.
And with that, we conclude our news at this time. But for more updates and latest news, visit our website at www.galaxytvonline.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can interact with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Official Galaxy TV. If you have breaking news around you, you can avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp. Simply share a story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 0818-666-669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comment. And that's your Galaxy TV news at this time. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, thank you so much for your company. I am Kelly Egiga. I will see you again next time. Bye.